That's luck, though. I'm going to get out of Westchester. The goal was to go back home. And that's part of why the show is called Home From Here, because I'm just trying to get back up to the Hudson Valley.
What do you miss about the Hudson Valley so much?
They're my people. I get them. The people of the Hudson Valley are sophisticated and simple at the same time. They're smart and funny at the same time. It's a geographic anomaly, the amount of talented musicians that are in the Hudson Valley. And it's strange. It's really strange. It's Nashville.
In the valley, moved up from the city. It's a new way of living and I'm trying to get used to it. 1 park coolers, half an ounce of an idiot. Ordered a Manhattan and they call me a Cidiot. At first I hurt my feelings, but it's kinda got a ring to it. When you move to the country, they can tell when you're new to it. I'm looking at a place, but I'm trying to keep fitting in. It takes too long to be a local, so for now I'm a Cidiot.
I'm Matt Zucker, and this is Cidiot, learning to live and love life in the Hudson Valley. So we've talked this season about writing, outdoors, animals, and sea turtles. Are you ready for something different? What people go through, and what support looks like. Meet John Burton, host of Home From Here, a popular podcast and one of the biggest talk shows on Mixcloud. It's about mental health, the creative process, redemption, and recovery. And John says, anything else funny. I haven't met anyone like John. If you listen to me on his show, Home From Here, episode 217, during the almost 2 hours, we talked for a long time, and he doesn't edit. He got me saying things I don't normally talk about. On this episode of Cidiot, though, you'll hear from him, and I edit. His history from Rhinebeck to New York City to Westchester, and his plans to get back up here soon. He wants to get back to his people. As he explains, the people of the Hudson Valley are sophisticated and simple at the same time, smart and funny at the same time, among other qualities. John puts it all out there. What his wife has gone through in her cancer journey, a just magical experience of resilience and recovery. And he puts it out there about himself, too. I know I'm not a regular broadcaster, but I hear the professionals warn listeners when a topic such as drugs and suicide is brought up. So I'm telling you in advance that you'll hear John talk briefly about drugs and suicide. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, and it's also important. And I think you'll be as interested and charmed as I have been. His is a journey to podcasting, this medium that I too love so much, and one that I haven't heard before. But we also talk about music in the Hudson Valley. Since he's a musician, and so many of his guests are musicians, I was curious to ask him about it. He actually thought my song, the Cidiot theme, was emblematic of the Hudson Valley. Very flattering. And he was game for my event I have yet to put on, an evening with a bunch of Cidiots. But speaking of events, John has a real event coming up, the Lifted Project. John has helped organize the last 2 years, and will be on April 6th at the Center for Performing Arts in Rhinebeck. The Lifted Project is a one-time event during the year, where he invites more than 30 musicians. He writes an original song, and no one hears it until the day they rehearse for just 1 hour, and then they perform it. You and the musicians are together, learning and experiencing something new. Sounds really unique. And it raises visibility for 4 great nonprofits. A bit We Are the World-ish in a way. Tickets are just $25. That's April 6th. There'll be a link in the show notes, and you can buy tickets right now. Then at the end of the episode, we talk more about our idea for a Cidiot immersion class, and what would be in it. Home repair, auto repair, culture, know your bugs, gardening, what to order and not to order in a bar. It's fun. I really want to do it. So come meet and get up close and personal with my new buddy and fellow podcaster, John Burton. Hi, John.
How are you, sir?
Welcome on Cidiot. This is quite an honor since I was just on your show.
The honor's mine because now you're on a real show. It's very different.
I don't know about that, too. Is it weird to be on the other side of the microphone?
I'm starting to get more comfortable with it. And I have this really bad habit when I'm interviewing of trying to flip it and start interviewing the other person rather than being interviewed. So I'm gonna, if I start doing that, just shut me right down.
Yeah, and my audience knows me so well, they probably don't want to hear anything more about me. It's been TMI. But they should listen to your show because I share all my deepest secrets and thoughts about things I never talk about on your show.
That was really fun, by the way. You're a great guest.
Oh, thank you.
No, that was really fun. It's nice because you don't have, what I'm about to say, I think, is there's some shows where you have to do that, a lot of the heavy lifting. And then there's some shows where the guest just so good, you're like, hey, why don't you ask yourself the next question? And that's what you were.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I usually have things I want to say, so you shouldn't have to work too hard. I have my own agenda too. But okay, this is about you and what we can learn from you. And I want to start with your relationship to the Hudson Valley, because with the show with like Cidiot, you might even have some advice for them.
Born at Vassar Hospital, grew up, never went to Vassar, but born in Vassar Hospital.
It's a good hospital.
Yeah, and it's a great source of guests because I'm plucking professors out of there now to make my show. So it's working. Grew up all my first 18 years in the house in Rhinebeck, New York. Went to Rhinebeck Central High, class of 81. The house I grew up in wasn't ideal. There were two. They were both, by the time I hit high school, they were both like non-functioning alcoholics who couldn't drive or couldn't anything. So staying in the Hudson Valley wasn't an option for me. And, when you're a teenager, you take something that's not an option and frame it as, I don't want it anyway, sour grapes. So I took the Hudson Valley and said, okay, sour grapes, I'm going to leave. Went to Iowa, then went to the city, and then went to Westchester, and it never felt right. Just never felt right.
What was the plan? What were you trying to do?
I went corporate turnaround for 4 hours. The Hudson Valley's a lot of things. Of corporate turnaround opportunities, it is not.
It's a turnaround.
It is a turnaround, but no, I was trying to make money, and that for me was a mistake. Yeah, I did make some money, but I just never was full. So I wound up getting pretty sick. I wound up getting depressed and suicidal and pretty sick. Oh my God. And then when that whole, I was crazy and had a plan to kill myself and was diagnosed with 8 different disorders and was on 7 different medications at the same time, and they're all counterindicating. One of them is lithium. Turns out if you're me, lithium is toxic. So the drug that I'm taking so that I don't kill myself is actually killing me. And so I get arrested and I'm facing 350 years in jail. And so I just get to I'm here, so it worked out. But yeah, so I had a plan. I was going to take my life in the fall, but I needed to get these drugs out of me first, just so I knew that the decision was me and not the drugs. So I detoxed for 2 months, cold turkey. My daughter was then 7 years old. And so she stayed with me while I detoxed. She really detoxed me. It's the whole show, so I won't tell you all, but it's an amazing story. She detoxed me, and I went down to the water 2 days before I was going to do it. The idea was I was going to do it when she went back to school so that she was in a supportive environment and blah, blah, blah. And a voice, I don't know who it was, said something. I know it wasn't me because it was very wise. And it said, listen, if you do this, the only thing your daughter's ever going to know is that anything she works hard on is going to fail because she just worked you through this whole thing. And I said, I can't do that. So I'm like, okay, then I guess I have to live. So I made some choices. One was to return back to music, which is what I should have probably done all along. The other is to find something that I love to do for a living, which is podcasting, instead of working for money. And podcasting for money I just recently broke the ice, but it's a journey to get there. And
yeah, you're a success story. You're actually doing this full time.
Yeah. And that's luck, though. I'm going to get out of Westchester. The goal was to go back home. And that's part of why the show is called Home From Here, because I'm just trying to get back up to the Hudson Valley.
What do you miss about the Hudson Valley so much?
They're my people. I get them. The people of the Hudson Valley are sophisticated and simple at the same time. They're smart and funny at the same time. It's a geographic anomaly, the amount of talented musicians that are in the Hudson Valley. And it's strange. It's really strange. It's Nashville.
It shouldn't be that surprising, right? With Woodstock over in Bethel, only 40 minutes away. And
Yeah,
right?
people say that, but Woodstock was like a venue.
Like a one-time event rather than.
Yeah, it's like a venue. It's not.
Yeah.
Woodstock didn't host Woodstock musicians, so I understand the musicians. I love and I didn't realize this, but I love the landscape. It's my jam. My daughter graduates on June 24th, and on June 25th, we are hauling ass back to Hudson Valley.
Oh, really? That's soon? Great.
Oh yeah, no, we're coming up, and it suits me because it's so versatile. I feel like everywhere else I've gone, like Westchester, where you're either Westchester-y or you don't fit in.
Well, I think there's many Westchesters. I mean, my sister lives in Westchester, and I know a lot of people there, whether you're in the northern Westchester or you're down by the city or you're more in the river towns. They feel pretty different to me.
Yeah, but you're still paying way too much property tax.
I know everyone talks about
on money.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
still
Well, so is Dutchess. Dutchess is pretty high in tax for the Hudson Valley.
I didn't say I was going to Dutchess. I said I was going to Hudson Valley.
Oh, I see. You're not going back to Rhinebeck. Okay.
No, I'm probably going to go Beacon or someplace like that.
Talk more about the music in the Hudson Valley too. About as a musician, like, is there a certain kind of music that's here? I've never done anything about music on this show except when I produced my song. I had the guys on who helped me create it, and we talked about their music careers, but we didn't really talk about music in the Hudson Valley.
Your song is a perfect example of to describe music in the Hudson Valley. Your song is as good as it gets, professionally written, professionally produced. You could put your song on Comedy Central and the video. You could put that on Comedy Central tomorrow, and it would be on par with anything else that's there.
Thanks.
But that's the Hudson Valley, right? You can reach out. You can go to those guys are in Red Hook, right?
Yeah, they're at Space Studios in Red Hook.
Fantastic. Listener, if you're a home from here listener and checking in and aren't from the Hudson Valley, Red Hook is not Brooklyn.
And not that Red Hook, yeah.
Yeah, but you could go to Red Hook and find that level of talent. Growing up here, there was an equal, if not greater, emphasis put on the arts than there was on academia or sports.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played on one sports team, wasn't good. Played on one sports team, did the academic work, but I did like theater and music, and the emphasis globally was as much on the arts as it was. And I graduated class of 81. There are, between my class and the class above me, I could name for you a dozen musicians, easily a dozen musicians, who are as good as it gets. And then the other thing that's different about music in the Hudson Valley is the attitude of the musician. When I get sick and I come back out and I decide I'm going to do music. Now, in fairness, a Westchester musician gave me my leg up. He gave me the equipment and said, this is what you're going to do, and blah, blah. But then as I started to play more, Westchester musicians became competitive and nasty, and it was just bizarre to me. So then I started to show up in Rhinecliff, and I started interviewing musicians, and these guys are like, hey, you should be playing out. Let me introduce you to so-and-so. When I was starting out, I was very self-deprecating about my music because I was insecure. So I was self-deprecating about it because I know I'm funny, so I could make a joke about it if the song isn't good. But they would lecture me. They would say, you can't do that. You're disrespecting your craft. They teach you.
Oh, really? What do you play or perform? What's your shtick?
Singer-songwriter, play guitar, so acoustic, nothing that gets plugged in. You plug something in, I get messed up. But yeah, and coaching me. And then they would invite me to, come play out with me. I'll teach you how to understand a room. And then they were like, do you want to just hang out and write a song together? And that never happened in the city or Westchester.
So it's much more nurturing and
giving and not competitive and insecure. Yeah. And they just think of music as a gift and not that concerned about the finances of it. They're like, look, everybody up here plays for the joy of playing up here. And as a result, because they're not commercially driven, because they're not competitive, because there's much less evil and snark in the Hudson Valley music community than there is elsewhere, they're all better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of venues, like, where does one play? I've been to Levon Helms. I've been to UPAC. Like, where do people perform? Where would people go for music?
Think towns, don't think venues. So Beacon has 45, and here's why I'm going to explain. Beacon has like a gazillion venues. Kingston has a gazillion venues. One of the most popular places for music is Paula's Runway Cafe, which is in an airport. So
Really?
yeah, and everybody plays there. And she's amazing.
Where's that?
It's right outside of Beacon. It's the Hudson Valley
Oh, funny.
Airport. And she has a cafe there, and then outside her cafe is a lobby, and she has access to like a third of the lobby, and you just go play out there.
I got to put a link to that in the show notes.
And then the Rhine Cellar in Rhinebeck is a great spot to play. So and there's also like Facebook groups you can go on for Hudson Valley musicians if you're looking for stuff. But there's I'm blanking on the Orchard, but there's an Orchard Barton.
Hardimans?
Barton, I think it is.
Barton Orchard, yeah.
Yeah, they host live music from the time the temperature gets above 45 to the time it goes below 45. Do
you like to perform live?
No. I like it when I'm doing it. I don't like leading up to it, and I'm really exhausted afterwards. But while I'm doing it, I absolutely love it. Oh, Joseph's Italian Steakhouse, great place they do live music, I think 6 nights a week, and it's a great name of a restaurant. Joseph's Italian Steakhouse. I think it's in Poughkeepsie. It's fantastic.
Okay, I'll put these in the show notes.
Great spot. But I love it while I'm doing it, and it's harder for me because I'm like a one person. I have kind of 2 strikes against me. One, I'm mostly one person with a guitar. That's hard to hold a room for 3 or 4 hours. I'm not dancing. I'm not doing any of
right.
that. There's great bands. Like if you can check out Jungle Love. Amazing band.
Well, I know what I'm going to call you for is a few people have approached me about doing like an event, and I also was anxious about like hosting an event that'd be like 2 or 3 hours. So I came with this idea called An Evening with a Bunch of Cidiots, and the idea would be it'd be like a show with different little segments. So there'd be musicians performing and maybe my funny song and some other things, and then I'd bring in like a local mayor, and then I'd bring in a clown. I bring in all these little local, like a local baker, and interview them on stage. So it's an event, but it would have music sprinkled throughout it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I would love
We should do it. We should do it.
Right. I'm in.
But wait, you've got a big event coming up called the Lifted Project. So I wanted to ask you about that. Tell me about the Lifted Project and how it got started.
So my wife has this head. I get teary when I talk about this. So you just kind of got to look past that. My wife has this head and neck cancer journey, which is amazing. She has a sore in her cheek. It won't go away. A couple months go by. You think I bit my cheek, won't go away. She goes to her dentist. 45 minutes later, she's in surgery. For a biopsy, the surgeon comes out and he says, "Look, I'm only supposed to take a small piece. This is a biopsy, but I know what I'm looking at. Tell me to go long, and I'll go long because this is not." He removes a 2-inch tumor from the inside of her cheek. She then goes to see Dr. Erkin, who's just the world's greatest head and neck cancer surgeon. He performs this miracle surgery. She has this crippling, debilitating, life-sucking TV hospital drama experience through chemo and radiation that involved COVID, and her face was so burned that ashes on the pillow every day. She's bald in the back of her head. It's completely devastated. Can't eat. They took a piece of her thigh and put it in her cheek. So big stuff, right? She finishes December 30th as her last treatment. When you're done, they just open the doors. Now she can't walk. She can barely talk. She doesn't want to be seen in public. She's devastated. So we go home and we're like, what's the game plan? And there's not really a game plan. So, okay. So she sits in a chair for about 3 weeks, can start to hold her head up. And I'm like, we got to walk you. So I take her outside. I'll never forget. I take her outside one day in January, blue sky. It's freezing. She's got a blanket on because her winter coat, her body can't hold the winter coat. And she shuffles out the front door. She goes about 8 feet and twists her head up toward the sun. And usually when she's twisting her head, it's skin pinching or something, but she twisted her head and like the sun was in her face. And I actually saw her remember the sun. And the minute I saw her remember the sun, I said, okay, we're going to get her back. So I'd walk her 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet. And we do this for a month and a half. Every day we try to add a couple feet. We get to about 100 yards, and that's all there is. And she's still not walking. In the meantime, I exercise pretty religiously because it manages my mind. I do these classes and these exercise classes. I'm doing these classes, and there's one teacher in particular that I'm close to. And I say, hey, would it be okay if I brought Trish to the back of your class and she just shuffled her feet to the music? Would that be okay? And she's like, absolutely. So I bring, and Trish used to go to this gym. She's from me.
Yeah.
So I bring it to the back of the class. Now Trish has like a ball cap on because she's bald in the back of her head. Trish is my wife's name. Big sunglasses, scarf, sweatshirt on. She's in the back of the class and she's shuffling. And this teacher, it takes about 30 seconds, and this teacher goes to the back and pulls her to the front, turns her around to face everybody, and does the whole class shuffling with her while the rest of the class is doing the exercise.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So we get down to the car, and Trish is crying, and she goes, do you think we could ever do that again? At the same time, the phone rings, and it's my friend, and she says, get her back in here tomorrow. So they start this incredible journey, and it winds up on Newsweek, it winds up in the Today Show, it's catching it because she's doing this alternative therapy. So one day, the one, you know what a box jump is?
No.
It's a 2-foot box that you got to jump up on.
Okay, no, I had no idea.
Yeah, and it's part of the class. So my friend brings out this 3-inch thing, and Trish she has neuropathy, her head isn't talking to her feet, so she can't get both feet up on a 3-inch block at the same time. She falls, she's crying, they go head to head, she gets back up, swipes her eyes. At the end of the class, my friend takes Trish to the 2-inch block and says, we go every day until you can get on this thing. And Trish is like, there's no way. But every day they work a little bit harder, 3 inches, 6 inches, a foot. One day, and by the way, nobody's getting paid. Nobody's getting a bonus. These aren't private sessions. This is just a person taking her time out to help Trish. So one day, Trish is standing in front of the 2-foot block, and she put one foot on it, and then she can't get both feet on it. Just put one foot on, the other foot on it. You got a 4-month journey of love, trust, magic, and positivity. And my friend goes up to Trish. They go forehead to forehead again, and this time I heard it. And my friend says, you can do this today. You are a feather. You can fly. You can do this today. And steps back. Whole class of 40 people circle her. She's looking at me. She looks over at my friend, and she jumps on the box. It was the most amazing, beautiful thing I ever saw in my life. So I do what any good husband would do with that. I go home and I start watching TV, and I'm watching the We Are the World documentary. And I'm like, hey, dummy, half your show is musicians and you write songs. You could put something like this together. So we started the Lifted Project. That's the origin story of it. The premise of the Lifted Project is we don't take any money. The Lifted Project itself raises no money for anybody. There are nonprofit partners there. Nonprofit partners benefiting from the access or benefiting from the audience and the publicity. And if they raise money directly, great. Our job is to create a space that is purely about energy and lifting, the way Trish got lifted up on that block. And if we happen to raise money, great, but we take none. It's all volunteer. So last year was the first one. So because of the show, I invite 38 musicians to sing, right? And they all say yes.
So it's an event. It's an event.
It's an event. It's a one-time event. It's once a year. So I invite, modeled after We Are the World, but a little bit different. So I invite 38 musicians. They all say yes within like minutes. I'm like, hey, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to try to make something good. All right. And that's what Hudson Valley musicians are. They're like, yeah, all right, we're in. I hadn't written a song yet. They didn't know whether it was going to be good, bad, or ugly. We didn't have a venue. We didn't have anything. I just said, I just want to make a good room. And they're like, yeah. And these are 38 of the best musicians in the Hudson Valley. And they're instantly like, yes, we'll do it. So we did it last year at the Hudson Valley Airport, Polis that I told you about. We sold it out. And the premise is I write a song. The choir doesn't get to rehearse it.
Yeah.
The band gets to rehearse it for 1 hour.
Okay.
Go in and we go in and we do it until it's worthy of being recorded. So last year we did it, and we did the first. The song was called "Won't Be Broken," and we do it the first time. And Trish is in the front row rather, and we do it the first time, and it was so bad, and it was really bad. And I turn around and Trish is looking at me like, motherfucker, are we going to have to move? Because we're not going to be able to show our faces around here. But what wound up happening, everybody got together and did like 4 or 5 takes of it. And by the end, it was glorious. It turned into a 2-hour event. Nobody wanted to leave when it was over. People were just hanging around, just kind of WTFing whatever happened. And so we decided to make it an annual thing. And now It's caught on. Now, next year in 2026 in Indiana and New Jersey, different musicians are going to do their own lifted projects for nonprofit partners there. So the premise is write a song. Nobody gets to practice it. They get a demo of it, so they get to practice on their own, but not as a choir. And we just create a space where there's no BS, and we're just going to lift everybody.
So when is it?
It is April 6th. It's at the Center for Performing Arts in Rhinebeck this year.
Oh.
And there's 4 nonprofits who are selling tickets for it. Those go on sale February 1st. Thank the Thyroid Head and Neck Cancer Foundation is one. James's Warriors for Prevention of Suicide is one. Earth Angels Believe is one. They work with cancer families. They give them like $300 for groceries, or ride times, or all that kind of stuff. So there's 4 of them, and they'll be there to, if you want to give them money, you can. And tickets are $25, and that goes to the non-for-profit.
It's like a spectacle or experience because people are learning the music live in front of you, and you're a part of that kind of moment.
You get to see really, really good musicians get pissed off and be bad.
That's funny. That's very different.
It really is. But then you get to see them get like really good. So you get to see that whole thing happen.
I'll put a link to the project and information about the tickets.
Oh, thank you.
In the show notes, because when people hear this, it'll still be plenty of time to go buy tickets and put it in their calendar. Curious if you have any advice for Cidiot. One of the funniest things we talked about on your show, I thought, was you had this idea based on your own experience of having taken classes or something, or maybe it was me, I didn't know how to use a wrench, but we had this idea of maybe having a Cidiot immersion experience where you could learn to do all this stuff that you don't know how to do. And obviously I could make money off the back of this. But I guess, what would your be advice for Cidiots? What should they learn to do?
Take that immersion class would be my first advice.
I know.
I think it's a great idea. So the Hudson Valley is like a culture. And as you move from one culture to another, there's immersion, there's how much of you're bringing to it, and there's how much that. I think your class would be fantastic. And if you decide to do it, I would love to have you back on to talk about it, because I think...
Well, what should be in the class, though? What do you think people need to learn how to do besides drive?
Driving is one. Basic home repair is one. Basic auto repair, because
repair,
right? Because you pull over in the Hudson Valley, you're waiting a few hours,
right?
So basic auto repair, because it's me. I would have like cultural places to go, because people, if Cidiots come up and you're used to living like 4 blocks away from the greatest museum in the world, you're probably going to want to see something up here.
Yep.
Availability for that.
Let's say something on bugs, like know your bugs and insects.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
which will kill you and which are just gross.
Gardening.
Oh yeah, gardening, right.
Yeah, gardening.
Brian can teach that one.
Gardening, basic landscaping, because you all want landscaping on Central Park and West 86. But
right, that's a hefty bill if you have to source it all out.
Yeah, but you don't have to source it all out. You can learn it.
Yeah.
So I would do that based on a joke that you made. I would teach people what to and what not to order at a bar. And then I would also do like a list of resources, like farmers markets, where you can get really good food for nothing, where you can shop in bulk, what all-wheel drive is and isn't. My Range Rover is an SUV. It should be able to. No, honey.
No, you're gonna get stuck. Yeah,
you're getting. And then advice, I would say, moving to a culture.
Yeah,
and like any culture, it's got a history, because, like you said, everybody wants to tell you how long their family has been living there. You're moving into a culture. Have a touch of sensitivity about it, but also don't let us get away with nonsense either, because you guys are bringing up our home. I've never heard a person from the Hudson Valley, and I know a lot, complain when they sold their home that, I got too much money from it because everybody from cities. So, you can shut up a little bit up here about Cidiots are a gift, because you get an extra $300,000 for your house. Bring all the Cidiots you want. I've never heard anybody complain about that.
That's funny. Yeah, that's great. Do you feel like you've got to get reacquainted with the Valley, or do you feel plugged in enough that you are still who you were?
because of the show I'm plugged in. I know so many generous, amazing people.
Oh, we met through the Valley Girls, didn't we?
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen and Jenny.
Yes, thank you, Jen and Jenny. I know so many giving, loving people who if I picked up a phone would be here in 45 minutes, well, or an hour and 45 minutes, depending. I feel more at home when I'm there than I do when I'm down here in Bedford. And I don't live there yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can't wait that you're moving back. What about your show? So where can people find your show? I want people not just to listen to my own in-depth TMI episode, but you broadcast more frequently than I do. So like how can people find you?
Yeah, I do 12 hours a week now, which is...
Oh my God.
That's the gig though. So you can learn about the show on homefromhereshow.com. I prefer if you listen to it on Mixcloud because they're my boss. And Mixcloud is an app. You can download it. You can hear abbreviated versions of it everywhere. Like your show is everywhere because we didn't do any copyrighted material. So Apple, Spotify, Amazon, anywhere, you'll get abbreviated version of the show. So if a musician comes on and does Brown Eyed Girl, that's not going to be on Spotify, but it will be on Mixcloud. And the website is homefromhereshow.com. You can always hear it. You can always hear it there.
How do you describe the show to other people?
I can give you a 20-second elevator, but the show is about mental health, the creative process, redemption and recovery, music, and anything else uplifting and funny.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you for coming on.
No, thanks for having me, man. And thanks for letting me talk about the Lifted Project. And thanks for being funny. People that are willing to share their sense of humor, I really appreciate that. You need to do more shows.
I will try.
You need to do 12 hours a week.
Oh my God, I will try. Meanwhile, I'll go buy tickets to Lifted Project.
Please do. That would be awesome.
Down in the valley, moved up from the city. It's a new way of living, and I'm trying to get used to it. 1 pot noodles, half an ounce of an idiot. Ordered a Manhattan, and they call me a Cidiot. At first, I hurt my feelings, but it's kinda got a ring to it. When you move to the country, they can tell when you're new to it. I'm looking at a place, but I'm trying to keep fitting in. It takes too long to be a local, so for now, I'm a Cidiot.